Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about piqué and piqué, two types of piqués. So this is another video in my Ballet Barre Basics series, although these movements can also be done in the center. If you are new to ballet or you're a beginner and you'd like to go over all of the different kind of basic movements that you do at the bar, make sure you check out my Ballet Barre Basics series, which is this one. You'll find that there's a whole playlist with lots and lots of different videos where you can go over your technique and learn the names of the movements and what the movements are. So I hope you'll find this series really helpful. So as with all movements in ballet, there are many different ways that you can do them. For example, different directions. You can do them releve, you can do them not on releve. There are always kind of lots of different variations on one movement, but I like to teach you kind of the most basic, the most simple version of the movement, and then once you've understood that, it's much easier to build upon that. So piqué means pricked, so you have to think that this movement is very kind of sharp and precise. So let's start with the first type of piqué. So if we're at the bar, we're likely to do this first type of piqués in a jette exercise. And the way that a piqué starts is actually with a jette. Some people call these glissés, some people call these dégagés. It depends on your school. But for me here in Spain, they usually call jettes. So we're going to start with a jette. So you know how that starts. Through the foot and then it lifts off the floor. And for our piqué movement, all we're going to do is basically touch and rebound off the floor, and then we're going to close as we would close a normal jette. So remember, it begins with a jette movement, then we touch, and then we close. So it's almost exactly the same as a normal jette, except we have a movement of touching and then closing again. And of course, you can also do piqué à la seconde and piqué derrière. So let me give you some tips to make sure that your piqués are nice and clean. So first of all, we want to be deciding exactly the height that the leg is going to start and finish the piqué. What we don't want is kind of a messy mishmash. We don't know exactly where the leg is and it's kind of like, whatever, I don't know where that's starting and finishing. So we want a nice, precise, this is where my leg is and I'm coming back to that same height after the piqué. By the way, you can also do a piqué and a grand battement, for example. It would be the same, but of course the leg is higher. However, for now, let's keep thinking about the piqué in relation to a jette movement. So think, where is my leg going to go? This height, back to that height, and close. And then we also need to remember that for a piqué, the accent is actually up. So we don't want to think of the piqué accent being down and heavy. It's a light movement. It's a prick, remember, not a stab. So we want to think about, as we touch, as soon as we touch, lifting again. So it's a light movement, sharp and precise, but light. It's not supposed to be a heavy movement. So it should be a light movement. Accent up, accent up, accent up. Now, if you are a beginner, you're unlikely to come across a double piqué, but I'm just going to explain it because theoretically it's easy to understand. It's harder to do, but it's very easy to understand, so we might as well learn it now as well. So for a double piqué, instead of doing one prick, we do two, bam bam. Okay, and exactly the same à la seconde, and exactly the same derrière. So one more tip for your piqué movement is that you need to have your leg lines correct. Otherwise, first of all, the piqué movement's not going to be clean, it's not going to be precise, and also it can be a little bit more painful because if you're not careful and what you're doing here in your piqué, if you're sickling your foot, you're going to be tapping your little toe and it's going to be kind of crushing your toes. So what you want for the piqué is to think about your leg line and make sure that you're tapping with the right part of the foot. If you're not sure about exactly where your ankle, your foot, your knee, your hip should be in relation to each other, I have my Pro Leg Lines course. I will link it in the description. I'm not going to say any more about it now, but it's super helpful if you're watching this video and you're thinking, I don't even know which toes should be touching the floor here and what position my heel should be in relation to my ankle and my knee and my toes and all that kind of thing. Okay, now for the second type of piqué. And for this one, I'm going to teach you a piqué en avant, stepping onto releve. So again, I told you that in all these movements, there are lots of different variants, there are lots of different ways you can do them. But in this case, we're going to learn it like this. We're going to do a petit développé, and this is the piqué. The piqué is this, up, okay? That's the piqué. Again, it's almost like you could think about pricking into the floor. So what doesn't happen in a piqué is this. You see what I did there? So important in piqués that the knee must be straight. The only thing that moves is from my toes being super pointed. I just release them so that I can step onto my demi point. Now, if you're on point, you don't even need to alter the toes because you just come here and then you'll go straight up onto point. The second thing to remember in a piqué is that the back leg should also be quick. I don't want to make this movement a very slow movement. The piqué is an up. The same as this is an up, the piqué is an up. So, and up, yes? So trying to get the back leg nice and quick, joining with the front leg. I could do this à la seconde as well, so for example I could do and up. You can also do it derrière. There are lots of different variants of the piqué movement. You could do into piqué arabesque, yes? So, the main thing to remember about the piqué though is that you must keep the knee straight as you step onto that leg. That is the most important quality of one of these types of piqués. So guys, I really hope this video was helpful. I hope it's clarified a few things about the piqué for you, and I hope you've taken these little technique tips on board as well. So thank you so much for watching, guys. As I said, I will link the Pro Leg Lines course in the description box in case you're interested in taking that and really making your leg lines beautiful and accurate. Thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!